Joining us now, former Assistant U.S. Attorney Andrew McCarthy. Great to have you on again, sir. What was your reaction to what we were just talking about?
Well, I think it's a couple of different stories, right? The Burisma thing, I think, Liz, that the biggest scandal in the country is the millions of dollars from actors who were connected to foreign regimes that went into the Biden family coffers, which was obviously cashing in on Joe Biden's political influence. There's nothing else to cash in on. And I must say that I've been saying this for a couple of years like a broken record, and I salute what Senators Johnson and Grassley have done in reporting on this. But if this was a Republican, forget about Trump. I know Trump makes everybody's head explode. But if it was pick your Republican, this would be the only story we'd have been talking about. And it probably wouldn't have taken 2 years because there would have been, something decisive done in the interim.
Yeah, Donald Trump Jr. doing this, right? Selling U.S. natural gas, millions of tons, 25 whatever tonnage to, China out of Louisiana and more to make millions of dollars there. Let's move on to this story. Your reaction to the FBI's former top spy hunter in New York, he's Charles McGonigal. He helped trigger the Trump-Russia probe. He was charged yesterday with secretly working for a Russian billionaire in that Trump-Russia probe. He's Oleg Deripaska. What was your reaction when you first heard the story?
Well, the interesting thing to me is the contortions that the FBI and the government did with respect to Deripaska. I wrote about this a little bit in my book, Ball of Collusion, about the Russiagate stuff. In 2016, they tried to flip Deripaska, and the person who was urging that was Steele, who was the guy who provided the information from the dossier that the FBI used in the FISA warrants. So they knew when they were using Steele that he was working for Deripaska. At that point, they were trying to flip him against Putin. They asked him about, what do you think of this Trump and Putin conspiracy? And he was like, what are you talking about? There is no Trump and Putin conspiracy. So suddenly they weren't too interested in Deripaska. And now we have the guy who was the head of foreign counterintelligence in New York, who I guess was at one point supposed to be investigating Deripaska, now working for Deripaska. So I think it speaks very poorly of the Bureau at a time when they can't afford that. And what I've said is I think you should split off the foreign counterintelligence mission and let the FBI go back to being a police agency again, because they're not a very good intelligence agency, we find every time we look hard. And the thing is, once you become principally an intelligence agency, I think that undermines your police force acumen.
Yeah,
and that's what's happened in the last number of years.
So critics are saying this is a sign that McGonigal never bought the Russia collusion story that he and his FBI colleagues are pushing. That, this was that Trump and his campaign were working with Russia to hack Hillary and DNC email. So that was fully debunked. But now I want your final word on this. Senator Johnson and I were just talking about this email that Hunter Biden sent to Devon Archer in April 2014 that had 22 bullet points, detailed bullet points on how to make money in Ukraine, including off of Ukrainian energy deals. So this was a week before the then Vice President Biden was going to go to Ukraine to meet with the Prime Minister. Is this a violation of federal law if Hunter Biden is getting classified information, U.S. secrets, in order for the Biden family to make money off of that?
Even if it's not to make money, if it's classified, it would be a violation of law. But I would just point out, Liz, one of the underreported things about the search warrant that the FBI did on Biden's residence in Wilmington on Friday is that they not only took classified documents out, they took notes out, which is indicative of the idea that Biden was taking notes of classified briefings and classified documents. And notes have a way of turning into emails sometimes. So this is the FBI in on it. You've said that's probable cause if you have the FBI in it. Is that what your thought is too? Final word. Well, no. What I'm saying is if they have evidence that he's got classified documents in his residence, then they have probable cause to look in the other residences. Got it. Andy McCarthy, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you.